Hello, 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 everybody. What is happening? Welcome to another Pixel stream. How you guys doing today? My name is Ian, aka IR Sculpts. As some of you might know me, I make toys for a living, and today we're going to be just sculpting some fun anime stuff that I've been doing for a little bit. Just a real quick disclaimer. If you guys are not subscribed to all that good stuff here at Pixel, just do it real quick. Subscribe. And I also just want to make sure to let you guys know that we are still doing the Demon Slayer project, but I haven't touched it since the last time I streamed, and I've been busy with other things, so I want to go over it and kind of create a checklist of things I want to do before I continue that project. So we're going to work on another one that I was working on, and just kind of go over that. There's going to be a bunch of stuff to do, some reshaping of the cape, some hair, so it should be pretty, overall, simple, fun, and hopefully educational. Hey, what is going on? Hello, how you doing? What's going on, Eric? Mahad, how you doing? Juan? Ooh, new project. J-Crew! Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, I had the amazing opportunity to hang out with Mike Thompson over on the Stylist League, and we did that for about a month, and this was the project that we were working on anime theme over there. So huge shout out to those guys. Go check out the Stylist League, because they're just fun guys who love to hang and sculpt cool stuff. And there's going to be some fun guests over there, including A-Cube at some point. Anyway, so this is what I was doing over there, and I'm just kind of into it, so I want to take my mind off of this massive project we're doing and kind of hone in on this a little bit. So let me kind of show you around the project a bit. So I was doing Nana Shiruma from My Hero Academia, and this was kind of my take on the character. She's mostly blocked out, and now we're going to go ahead and get into starting to detail it and make it a lot more interesting than it is currently. Hey, what's up, Jamie? How you doing? Hello, Eric. How you doing? Matt! What's up, buddy? Come in. So, we have a lot of stuff to do. First and foremost, the thing I really want to do, so let's create a checklist, kind of similar to what I was talking about with the Demon Slayer project. But what I want to do is right now I have hair block out. That's just to give me the shape, feel, and direction. I have some facial expression going on, but we'll need to tune that up a little bit. And then right now too, we have a block out of the cape and the base, but I don't like this cape with the base. I like the base a lot better. Plus, I'm sneaking in a little bit of, hopefully, clever workings right about here and here, which is where the weight of this base will hold the character. So this will be really nice and thick-walled resin 3D printing to ensure that it's heavy enough to hold the weight of her, since the weight is coming down this way. So that's the idea there. Ryan, what's happening, buddy? So, I overall like the pose. I think the pose is pretty good. So, let's get into reshaping the cape. And I'm just going to make a cape from scratch, because I know using dynamics sometimes can be a little tricky, and I like to do it to get cape shape. So, we're going to go ahead and make a cape that we can then use in flow. So, let's get into that. Let's hide this one. And then let's create a new one, and we're going to be using... I just use plain 3Ds for this stuff. It's a lot simpler in my opinion. And let's do 180, and let's turn on double so we can see what's going on. And that's under display properties, double. There it is. Looking really good, thanks, man. What's up, Chris? Yo, what's up, fellow sculptors? How you guys doing? How you doing, buddy? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn everything off for a second, and I want to basically put this in a folder. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's select all this and say yes, let's put that in a folder, and we'll call this base. Boom, that will be the new base. Perfect. And then we could just hide that base, turn everything else on, of course. Where's this one right here? That's here. Let's move that down. put that into the base. Good. When's the new update? No idea, man. No idea. And if I did, I couldn't tell you anyway. But yeah, honestly, I have no idea. I'm hoping soon, because they showed off some amazing stuff at the summit. Alignment tools. That Bevel Pro was looking sick. I think that's my favorite feature so far, next to the Boz. The Boz project, I think is what they're calling it. That's going to be a lifesaver. I sculpt a lot of coins. So that's going to be helpful. All good here, rocking that base there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, that's going to be I don't know. I'm excited for it. It's going to look really good. Oh, also too, there's if you guys didn't catch it too, for me it seemed like a really small thing, but I think they're adding like some sort of like organization thing they showed off too during the summit, and that was really cool too. So lots of fun stuff. If you guys haven't seen the new features and want to check them out, make sure to check out the summit videos. They're releasing them on YouTube. Very informative, which is amazing. So a definite must. Where did her face go? Where did her face go? There it is. That's her face right there. Okay, we need to hide that one. Actually, just bring that out. Let's clean this up a little bit. Oh, this is a mess here. Our new head, which is great. I'm going to keep this head placement here, just because it's actually my subtool name, so no big deal. I don't like these hands anymore. I made them into fists, which I think fisticuffs was really good, so we're going to go ahead and delete these hands. Organization is really key. I think it's super important, so it's really good to just kind of take a moment and clean up the mess we call our subtool palette. And we'll just save a new ZTL out. Maybe that version was 2021. Maybe, man. Yeah, I'm excited though. I am super excited. So I can't wait for them to announce when they're gonna drop it. It's gonna be glorious. All right, so let's go ahead and get this base going. So let's reconstruct this a few times, just so we have some basic topology to work with. And now we're gonna get a basic shape here. Actually, reconstruct that one more time. Then what I'm going to do is use Z Modeler, and we're going to go ahead, hover over an edge. We're going to go to crease complete. We're going to alt, because all the edges are creased here, so we're just going to quickly alt tap everything. Then come back, insert, nope, sorry, extrude. We're going to snap the surface, and then on the face, we're going to go ahead and do nothing. What I want to do is basically extrude out some edges here, just like that. This will be for her basically that'll be for the straps that connect to the words today, to her pen, or to how it connects around her neck. Don't judge me. Do what you think. Organization is key, so that's where I'm going. Right? Yeah, don't worry. I tried to remind myself more about me being organized than I actually do. You know, like, look at this mess. Look at this. I always preach, like, name everything, and then, you know, sometimes you can't do it. Yeah, we got it right. The subtool stage features, knife tools, more interpolate. I know. I'm waiting for all that. It's going to be amazing. I feel like we're going to end up being spoiled one day with everything that ZBrush can do for us. What I'm going to do is kind of set this on her in a way that's going to make sense. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and select this section here. Let's get the mass lasso. Hold Alt which will allow me to mask and the rest of what I don't need. And let's start bringing this down. Now this is more just quickly blocking it out. What we'll do next is, with the Z modeler, we'll hold over the edge, we'll go to Insert, and we're going to do multiple edge loops with the exact same poly groups. So that way, you don't have to worry about all those changes or creases. If I were to hit D for dynamic, say always yes, it gives me a nice little bit of information. How was everybody's Halloween? You guys do anything amazing, special? Any pumpkin carvings? I tried pumpkin carving, and it was pretty good. Pretty happy with it. I'm gonna kind of give it some shape here a little bit. Now, let's see if we can kind of maybe round this out a little bit. I'm going to bring this up here, like that. Go back, the edge here, insert, single edge. I'm going to add some edge loops to hopefully de-remesh and get a little bit controllable topology. That's the idea. Actually add an edge loop here. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and just Z-remesh this at a very low rate, like maybe 0.5. I'm actually going to crease the edges, keep creases. Turn off adapt though. Let's see what we get. There we go, a little bit more rounding. Let's go half. I don't like it. Okay. Increase all. Hey, Melissa, what's happening? Snickles, what's going on? I watched Paranorman with my girlfriend. How was that? Was it good? Artistry is about becoming something else, especially now being able to turn music, movies, videos, 2D, 3D, 4D creations into NFTs. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Dude, the whole industry is like flipped upside down, and it's super amazing. Anybody's oyster. Hey. Okay. Just work with what we got here. Let's add some edge loops there. There we go. Let's apply this to give a little bit of motion there. Okay, now we're gonna do is let's hide her hair. Bring this down again. Move this over. I'm gonna want this to interact with her. I want this to interact with her body here in a second with dynamics. So hold that. Position it where we want it. Okay. Now, what I'm going to want to do is focus on how this itself kind of lays into it. Oh, that was the other thing, too. With the way that the gizmo is going to respond. Oh, it's going to be really cool. Okay, let's invert that. And this way, let's play with some dynamics. So we're going to mount this over here. Turn on masked with some self collision. No floor collision is not really necessary. Turn inflate down to nothing. And let's turn gravity to like. And let's recalculate where this is going. We'll get some good stuff happening. Oh, you loved it. Nice. Have you ever? I have never seen it. I have never seen it. The family-friendly stop-motion film with zombies. Ooh, okay. Alright. I'm literally going to be copying and pasting this right now. I love stop-motion, especially when it's done right. Nightmare Before Christmas is probably my favorite. Oh, Anna Kendrick's in it? Oh, sweet. Am I gonna run Dynamic Sim? Absolutely. You know it, Chris. It's happening. Love the Captain America in the top corner. How did you get it there? Melissa, it is super easy. It's so wonderfully easy. I'm going to share a YouTube video for you. Not only that, but I'm going to explain it to you, and I'm going to show it to you right now. Here we go. First things first, let me show you the YouTube video by clicking it. That way you always have it, just in case, you never know. Here we go, here we go. Where are we? Okay, well. Got 100 links. If you go ahead and follow this link to my YouTube channel, go to the, show you right here, bloop. If you just go to my YouTube channel, and then you go under playlists, and then there are speed sculpts, and then there are art videos, and all that other good stuff. Also music in there, which is cool. Okay, great. And then there's Zbrush Help. Click the Zbrush Help, and then don't mind me showcasing my face, and then you scrub all the way down to this Create Custom Cam view. And that is the one that you want. That will show you how to do it, but it's really, really simple. All you do to get a custom cam view in here is, let's say I want this right here. I love it. It's amazing. Take your sculpt, everything that you want to showcase, and you're going to go ahead and merge visible, which will give you a brand new subtool that has everything on it just like this. And then what you're going to do is you're going to send this home to the very dead center of your screen. And then what you're going to do is hit F a couple times so that it's completely centered to the true center of the screen, like such. Then you're going to go to Document. And this part's important because if you want a transparent background, you got to remember that ZBrush ignores the color black, just doesn't like it, and it will make it transparent. So we're going to go to Document, Back, and you're just going to select black, just like that. And then from there, you're going to go up to Preferences, Cam View, Make Cam View. And it's going to spin it around. And now, look at that. We have our Nana up here. But we're not done yet. What you have to do after that is you have to go back up to Preferences, okay? And you're going to want to have to save your custom UI so doing this. So just remember that you're going to want to store your config. So go to I went out of order a little bit. Sorry, I apologize. Before you go and save it, what you're going to want to do is come over here. Just do your default ZBrush kind of looks something like mine. You're going to have your texture, or if you just come on up to texture, you'll see it generated a texture. Click on that and hit export. And then what you'll want to do is go to, if you're on PC, go to your local disk, go to your program files, go to your Pixologic, fun stuff, go to your ZBrush 2021, come in here to your Z Startup and KM View, and you can see here this I have some custom stuff in there. Name this whatever you want to name it. Preferably name it as a PNG, which supports transparent backgrounds, and then say save. Once you're done with that, go up to Preferences, okay, and then hit Store Config. Now, I'm not going to do that because I don't really want to store my config, but what you can do is once you have enough of them in there, or let's say you don't like it, ultimately, you can go next, and you can click this until you find the one that you're looking for. You can see there's a bunch of different stuff. Some of my older ones. And then, oops, I skipped my zombie cat. Whee! Go back to my, where are you? Oh, being, whatever. Anyway, so that's what it is. Or what I could do is just go to config and then restore custom UI. And that will fix a lot of that. Or just turn it off and on again. Now, if you wanted to have a cam view with high detail and high color, go ahead and hit render and get your render set up, then go to Preferences, Cam View, Make Cam View. Now, this will take a lot longer. As you can see, it's rendering each and every frame, but it renders each and every frame, generating a really nice clean render of your model, which you'll see here momentarily. Of course, if you don't want that, hit escape key, that will knock it off. Quick question, how do I match the size of the prints? What do you mean by match exactly? Like, how do you get the, like, are you trying to match a very specific size of another print that's done? Or are you just trying to, somebody says, hey, make the 7 inches, and then you're trying to match 7 inches? Just want to make sure I understand your question correctly. Are you going to upload a render cam view tutorial in your channel? I've actually already done that. That's the link down there. Oops. But, oh, I see I posted it after you asked that. I'm a little slow to the party today. Hello? I don't speak Spanish. However, I have no problems copying and pasting to Google Translate. It's not the best in the West, but it does do a decent job, at least having me understand what others are saying. Hello, I don't understand anything you say. I'm from Argentina. Well, welcome in. Welcome in. There's a lot of doing here, so... Anyway, and that would be a much better render. Thank you, Rodo. Thank you, Rodolfo. That's seriously awesome, dude. 7 inch. Okay, so... And when are you going to finish the Tanjo and Netsuko sculpt? I will be finishing it, I promise. I was just super busy the last couple weeks, so I haven't had time to go over it with any notes and kind of get it ready. But next week, we'll be right back on it. I just kind of needed a little bit of a break from it, too. Just refresh my eyes. But because I haven't touched it in a while and I've been trying to do everything possible on here so you guys see the whole process, the problem with that is that because I just sat on it, I haven't looked at it, I haven't actually critiqued my work and then kind of figure out a gameplay to move forward. But I promise we're going to be there next week. No worries. This was something I was working on with the guys at Stylus League and I really enjoyed it. So I was like, yeah, let's just finish it up. Let's get going. By the way, hi. Hey, what's up, Rob? How are you doing? For example, real sets. Okay, so Mohammed, so what we're talking about then is scaling. So ultimately, the best way to generate a really good scale of your model in ZBrush is to use Scale Master. I can go over it briefly, but that's a super in-depth topic, which you guys know I don't shy away from. But what we could do is I can give you an overall synopsis of what you should do. So, for example, let's say I would like this character to be 7 inches tall, okay? Now, real quick disclaimer too, or I guess sidebar, whatever we want to call it today. When you're dealing with figurines in the collectibles industry, you deal with ratios. So, for example, somebody might come to you and say, hey, I want a 1/6 scale. What does that mean exactly? So for you, that you could just generate and say, well, 1/6 scale is equal to close to this. But what they're really talking about is if this character was in real life, full size, she would be 1/6 scale from there. And so a lot of times what I do with the characters that I get that kind of scaling from is, first I talk to the guys who are generating the scale and giving me that factor and ask, like, well, do we have a set height in mind? At least to say 1/6 scale. So at that point, what I would do is that I would just kind of do some research on the character and find out that, let's say this character was 5'11", just say 5'11". That's the information you need to then scale that down. And obviously we would try to turn that into millimeters and then drop that down from there. So that's a whole nother topic, and that's a whole nother lesson. But just kind of keep that in mind. Anytime we're talking about ratios with scaling, that's typically referring to that set of what would be in real life. And you can use that information. So for her, I have no idea what her height would be. I haven't bothered to figure that out yet. But let's just assume that in this case, 1/6 scale is equivalent to 7 inches, just for the sake of argument. What we are going to do is use Scale Master. And what I like to do, I have many methods, and the method I'm going to use today is we're going to use a cube to generate the overall scene of it. And then what we're going to do is use her to kind of get that factor. So let's go into it. First things first, we're going to insert a cube 3D, and you're going to get something like this, okay? And what I'm going to do, and this is like the down and dirty way of doing it. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to shrink this down just over here, and then I'm going to make this 7 inches. I'm going to basically make this stacks of 7, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold Alt, reset everything. Now I'm going to click this little pin. Now I'm going to hold Control. Zoom in a little bit for you guys. I'm going to hold Control, and I'm going to drag this up until it stacks right on top of one another. I'm going to let go. And you see how the cubes snap back? Well, now I have 2, and that pin is actually pinning the gizmo's location, and it's going to allow me to stack cubes on top of each other. So from here, I have 2. I'm just going to hit the 1 button to repeat this action. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I hit the repeat key 7 times. Now what I can do is I'll clear out this. Let's put the poly frame on for you. I'm going to remove this pin by holding Alt and tapping that. And I'm going to leave this here. I'm just going to move this over. And now we're going to kind of Alt drag this down to the bottom. I'm going to scale this until it's roughly about her height. Okay. Reset this. So this is going to be in total about 7 inches. All right. Now notice I'm not actually doing exact measurements, but let's say we wanted exact measurements. This is where you can measure with the transpose tool. So if I were to hit Y in gizmo mode, I would have the transpose tool. Okay. From here, I can actually grab and drag by holding Shift from one end to another, and that will generate a unit number at the top. Once we set it to a specific measurement, like imperial or metric, that's going to then turn from units into millimeter. So what we'll do from here is we'll hit Q to exit our gizmo mode, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to auto group this. So we're going to go to polygroups, auto groups. I'm going to select the one I want to keep and delete the rest. All right. Now we're going to essentially tell ZBrush that this cube is 1 inch. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to remember a very special, beautiful number, 25.4. That is 1 inch in millimeters. 25.4 is equal to 1 inch in millimeters. Because you're dealing in 3D printing at this point, or manufacturing, it's usually good rule of thumb to stick in the millimeters. So if you're not sure how to convert inches into millimeters or millimeters into inches, if you just remember 25.4, you can then multiply that into the inch number to get the full millimeter, or you can divide the millimeter into 25.4 to get the inch factor. So, and here, I'll do a real quick calculator so you guys can see it too. So let's say we wanted to know how many inches 200 millimeters is. We would then take this, divide that into 25.4. That would give us 7 inches, 7.87 inches. But let's say we wanted to turn 5 inches into millimeters. We would take 5 and we would multiply that by 25.4, and that would give us 127 millimeters. So this way, you don't have to worry about how or what each conversion table is. You don't even have to know what 127 millimeters is. You just have to know how to convert it, and then you could bounce really easily between the two. So with that in mind, we're going to highlight the cube that we want. Let's rename it 1 inch. And then from here, we're going to go up to Z plugin. We're going to go to Scale Master, which works independently by itself, by the way, just a heads up. So we're going to do Scale Master, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit Set Scene. And what that's going to do is it's going to take the subtool you have selected and measure the viewport against it. And it's going to say right now that this is about 30.65 millimeters, which is perfect. That's what we want to work in. So we can just say millimeters. And now we go back up to Z plugin. We go to this number right down here. Sliders use subtool size. We click this, say 25.4, and then we go down to resize subtool all. And that's going to scale everything down to that 1 inch. We hit F again, we can now see that things have scaled down. We come back up to the plugin, we check set scene scale gets on that model, and that will tell us that's 25.4 millimeters or 1 inch. So now we're working in actual numbers and units that we can understand. From here, all you have to do now is just take your model. If you use merged visible, which I'd use a lot, go back and say set scene scale, and now you can see that my model is 70 millimeters by 177 millimeters by 95. So it's factoring in the height, width, and depth. And that second number, that's the one that's important for you on the height. The 177, that's how tall she's going to be specifically. And that's how you would kind of work. From there, you can then adjust you can either, resize the whole thing if you would want. So let's say, you can scale her down, for example. Clear any mask that we have. You can scale her down, and then you can go ahead and say set scene scale, and now she's shrunk down a little bit. There's many ways you can do this, but this can kind of help you get a more accurate measurement within ZBrush. Hopefully that's helpful. I know that was a lot right now, but if you guys have questions, slap me in the face with it. Let's do it. Let's see. Thank you so much, Ian. I really appreciate it so much. I'm new to everything. Not a problem, Alyssa. Glad to have you here. Didn't you make a video about setting up scale for your 3D prints in your Breath of the Wild video? Yes, I did do that before. Absolutely. But I know not everybody sees my videos, so I definitely... You guys know me. You guys, come on. Come on. I love doing it here. Really don't want to become famous unless you're willing to just, hang out with me on a regular basis. It's just like kilometers per hour versus mile per second. Yeah. Okay, absolutely. Thank you very much for your excellent and complete explanation. Not a problem. Wait, this guy here missed the scale part. Well, back it up real quick. Go on YouTube real quick. Back it up real fast. But it's awesome. Also, too, if you would like, I do have stuff over on my YouTube channel. I'm not very active on my YouTube channel right now. I just don't have a lot of time. So I do apologize for that stuff. I know I said at one point I was going to get into it, but, life and work, it's busy, especially in the toy world. So, but I have a good amount of information there, and then I'm always here, so you guys can always ask. But go check it out over there under the Zbrush Help, and there's a scale. I actually use Jabba the Hutt, I think, for that as well. And I did do it for the Breath of the Wild video on the Pixologic channel. So definitely a lot there. Hey, Nafi, how you doing? All right. Now, real quick, let's say you mess with everything under the sun and you're just like, man, I really messed up my scale, or things got messed up. Just to kind of tap that in a nice fun bubble. If you do end up messing something up where your scale's a little wonky, you can always come back over and click ZBrush Scale Unify, and you can unify everything at the same time. You could also, this is a fun little trick I like to do. You go up to T-Pose Mesh. So if you go to Transpose Master and go into T-Pose Mesh, for example, because you're just like, man, I messed up my whole scale and everything's weird. You can then go under Deformation and Unify, and then you can send that back. Now unify all your subtools together safely without having to do it. I've had Scale Master crash a few times, so I like to do T-Pose Mesh, Deformation, Unify, send it back. That way everything gets set, because sometimes when you work in scale, your brush size, depending on your viewport and the size of your model, will matter. So it's a good tip to just kind of go through and unify everything. Once you set scale, it helps kind of clean the palette, so to speak. Hey, ML Creative, not a problem. Look at that shirt. I know, right? Yeah. I got a new Demon Slayer shirt. My best friend threw it in my face and said, "Here you go." I was like, "Yay, thank you." I love shirts. It's like the one thing if anybody's like, oh, what do I get Ian for any event like whatsoever, or just because you have an extra shirt you don't like, just throw me a shirt. I'm the happiest dude on the planet. I'm simple, as they say. Okay. I'm gonna kind of give this a little bit more of cape shape. Cape shape. And now let's go through and go back to our dynamics. We're gonna mask off that section right here. And we're going to use on mask. So again, when using dynamics, on mask is going to affect only the things that are masked. On brushed would do the exact opposite. So we're going to click on mask, just easier for me to wrap my head around what I would like to do. And you know what I'm going to do with this piece right here? I'm actually going to hide it, because this is going to get in the way. Actually, I'm going to delete that one. I don't like that one, but I will hide these cape buttons. That's what we should call them. There we go. And now we're going to do is kind of drop this down a little bit. So let's recalculate. And then let's see how that works. Ooh, well, that was a little droopy. So let's actually clear that mask up. I'm here. Let's bring that down, because that was a little lower than I wanted it to be. Fill this out for a second. Boom, like that. Okay, there we go. That back, recalculate, and run that again. There we go, like that. So that now gives us a little bit of shape that is on. And of course, you could do a relaxed smooth if you would like. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just kind of bring that in a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the cloth transpose like this. I'm going to bring that back just like that. There we go. Now we can just take the move tool and just manipulate this a little bit more. Slight little smooth here and there. Too intense. So you get a little bit of a nice wrap happening. There we go. That's fun. Okay. Let's go ahead and save what we've started. You want me to use with dynamic thickness? Actually, funny enough, I do not like using dynamic thickness with clothes. I like working with single-sided, and I know it's single-sided, and it's just displaying the thickness, but it gets in my head. So I don't like using that typically. I don't know. For me, it's like single-sided, it just works. So now we're going to do is we're actually going to really soften this mask. And we're now going to set the direction in the way I want it to go. So it's going this way, which is perfect. So we're going to go ahead and recalculate that. And run. Oh, whoops. That direction of gravity. I lied. Then recalculate. Now, there we go. Look at that. Ah. Already doing something cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Oh no, I wasn't getting bugged out. No. But awesome tip. If anybody is in the position where they're like, man, I just wanted to do something kind of interesting, and it's tripping me out otherwise, yeah, definitely add the thickness. I do apply the thickness to get an idea of how thick I want it before I commit. So for the final 3D printed version, but I now only use single-sided geometry. Daisuke kind of got me onto that, and I have been doing that ever since. And super amazing. Why don't I make my cloths in Marvelous? Get better results there. Truth be told, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on Pixologic whatsoever, 100% truth, I find it easier in ZBrush to work with. I don't have to really deal with any other programs except for ZBrush at my work. You know, I think I use Keyshot, and then, you know, like Photoshop and stuff. But for the most part, 90% of my job's in ZBrush. So I've learned to use ZBrush. Also, too, when I was really getting into sculpting, I couldn't afford a lot of other programs, so I decided to just learn it in ZBrush. With Dynamics, it gets you most of the way there. I will say, if you're really specializing in cloth, you know, ZBrush is powerful to give you great concepts and great designs. But at the end of the day, it can be done in ZBrush. It may not be what you want, but it can do it. So, and I love showcasing that it is just as powerful. But that being said, we are on a Pixologic channel, so. But you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I used to use Maya to block out and retopologize like you. Then I took an arrow, and then like, yeah, I feel you. Also, completely depends on your goals. ZBrush clouds are fantastic. Absolutely, yeah. At the end of the day, guys, the thing to remember is that it's not the program that gets it done, it's how you use it. ZBrush is super fantastic. It's probably one of my favorite programs of all times, not even kidding. Just love it. Okay, what I'm doing right now is I'm actually masking off. And here, I also feel like I have a lot more control of stuff. So I'm going to set direction. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and recalculate that. And now we're going to kind of have a little bit of swoosh like that. So now her cape is kind of going up a little bit. Now it's going to need to get cleaned up, but you can do a light smooth, just like such. And look at that, like the cloth wrinkles I'm getting is super nice, so I'm really pleased with that. Now I'm going to turn on my base so I can see the rest of it. And I had it super aggressive before, but I'm thinking what I could do now is actually mask this section. I have cloth transpose, and I'm actually going to just use the cloth transpose now. Kind of give me a little bit more control here. And I'm also going to kind of bend that a little bit, taper that down. May want to push that a little bit more. But I think in this case, it's going to be, simplify it is going to be the key here. I like how floaty that is too. We can do right now, just to, maybe this might be a little bit high. Let's mask this section. That direction, let's recalculate. That's too fast. So let's take the gravity strength and go like 0.5. Recalculate. There we go, hit the escape key just to stop it. There we go. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Oh, that's my girlfriend. She doesn't believe me. Well, it's true. Okay. I really want the silhouette to look nice, so we're going to check that here in a minute. Now we can pull this part closer to her neck this way, like that. That was a bit of a ridiculous stretch there, if you ask me. And at this point, this is where we can now kind of retopologize a bit and deal and kind of clean up some of these shapes. And I like to hand sculpt a lot of my wrinkles. So we're going to use the dynamics for the majority of the wrinkles. At least give us some good guides, and then we're going to emphasize all of that stuff the other way. So let's do that. I'm going to do a relaxed smooth here on the edge. We want some really good expression with this cape. Now, here's what's really cool is if you're trying to smooth cloth, smooth is, you know, you have some smooth cloth, and what that does, it actually allows you to smooth the edge of your single-sided surface. Usually the smooth brush won't do that, but if you're running to an area where your cloth is just kind of rough on the edge and you can't seem to like get it right, turn on the smooth cloth brush and, you know, hit it on the edge a little bit. Should be fun. Okay. I think we're at the point where I'm going to want to retopologize this to get it quite what I want, but that's a lot better than it was earlier. And now we're going to go back to the basic, not topology, the basic transpose cloth. Hit F if you get lost. I can bring that down a little bit. There we go. And bada bing, bada boom. Now we're going to go ahead and fix some of this with a little bit of Z-remesher. And just for fun, let's turn before we do that, let's turn the cape buttons back on so that we know we're in the right spot. And line that up a little bit better. That there. Then set that down and put that there. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and re-topologize this, or straight up just remesh it. Let's go to geometry, delete lower. Good trick when you're doing any type of Z-remesher. And then let's see what we get at like a 5. I'm going to want some thickness. Hey, what's up, Crafting Candace? Hello! What's up, Crush Machine? Nice name, by the way. Can you show the whole model? What's up, Iris Sculpts? Absolutely, I can show the whole model. It's still, you just have some other stuff on here. Oh, it's doing its thing. Hold on. Okay. So right now, we're going to be focusing on some hair here in a second. So this is the old cape. And now this is the new cape. I like the new cape a lot better. This is still fun, but it's just messy and a little too aggressive for what we're going for. I would like some subtlety in my life, and that's where we're going to go. Oh, here's that hair block out. Need to kind of set that back and scale it down a little bit. So this is where we are so far. Now we got, in my opinion, a lot better of a cape. Like that a lot. So let's leave that there, and now let's start working on the hair bits. Hair bits. You can see the back of it. And for those of you who are just joining right now, one of the things that I am utilizing for the base itself is I've sculpted this smoke that we're going to be using as a spot to kind of key her foot into, as well as right in here. So she'll be keyed into the smoke itself. Now, what would be really fun is if we actually maybe set it up where we print it with transparent material or like a kind of misty kind of, I don't know, like a I don't know, maybe we could do like a kind of fun transparent color. I think that'd be cool because then it'll look like she's really floating if we use the transparency, attach the keys onto that, and then that goes into a solid surface. Then you won't know that it's actually floating there, which I think is cool. But that's what we're working on. Joining from Orlando. Nice, man. Spear Chuck. Welcome in. Welcome in. All right. I'm looking at this bit here too. We think we're gonna do some stuff with that, but I get distracted in life, so let's work on the fun stuff. Work on the hair. We're gonna shrink this down a little bit. Now her hair is wild, and I love it. So let me pull up my reference real quick. Bloop. Reference is key, guys. Reference is key. But what's cool is her hair has so much expression, and we're really going to utilize that to our advantage. So let's really just take a look. Very nice spiky strands of hair. So let's have fun with that. And it looks like she has one that goes across her face, and then the rest kind of frame it. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. You can actually see here, super wild take on that. So let's do it. Yeah, the transparent opaque color. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So I think what we're going to be doing for her hair is we're going to use some of ZBrush's fun curve brushes. And there's a curve alpha. We're going to do some modifications to that to get what we want. Now, my blackout is very round and bubbly. Like, that hair's ridiculous. So, we're going to do is we're going to kind of shape on top of it, get a good strand going, make our changes, and then from there, we're going to go ahead and do some other stuff. So, let me see here. What do I want to make a good hairbrush? I'm not gonna make a good hairbrush. Do I even want to? Maybe I just want a rounded tip. See what we got here. You know what? Why am I reinventing the wheel? Actually created a hairbrush. See if I can find where I place that sucker. Here. Go through some things that I can't show. Brushes? Yeah. No, it's brown brushes. Where did I put that? Probably have to go load brush. That would make more sense. Oh, you know what? I think I made... You know what? Here. It's not mine. Okay. Maybe we'll just make another one. I thought I had made another one. Yeah, let's just do that. Alright, let's use curved tubes. Curved tubes. And we'll make our own hairbrush. Why not? Nope. We'll start with that. Also, too, I'm going to reset this back. It's too dark. Go. My ZBrush is so unorganized. I searched for millions. Well, I have so many folders, and, you know, I always have to be careful what I show because I have client work too. So that's why I pulled it off screen. You never know where you're going to go. Let's see. She looks so buff in the reference. She's super ripped. That's going to be the final detailing. She's proportioned and she looks good to me as far as the overall body shape, but yeah, she's super shredded. Hello, Ian. I recently switched to ZBrush for hard surface modeling, and I use Boolean operations a lot. But honestly, ZBrush Boolean modeling system so time consuming. TV task. I'm sorry, it's not working quite well for you the way you think. I would say if you're having trouble with, look up Paul Gabry on Pixologic's YouTube channel. There's a lot of really good techniques he uses. I would say definitely check him out, because he makes the hard surface and ZBrush easy as butter. And I'm not a hard surface by trade. I can do it, but I don't consider myself hard surface. So I would definitely recommend that you check out Paul Gabry's stuff, because that's all he does. Well, that's not all he does, but he does it so well a lot. He even teaches a class on it. So I would say definitely. I'm getting you a video. 1 second. That would be really, really good. In fact, here you go. Definitely check this video out. He makes a pair of headphones in there that makes it really, really simple. So hopefully that's helpful for you. But yeah, I find it to be really easy. Oh, I'm sorry, I also used a plugin called Boolean Pro. That wasn't good enough. Any suggestions? Yeah, Blue Revamp. I would say just go check that video out and kind of go through it. I know ZBrush approaches modeling a little bit differently than a traditional program. So if you're used to other programs and the way you want to approach hard surface with a Z modeler can be a little different. And for me, it clicked with me immediately, because I guess I don't have that traditional background in hard surface, box modeling. But definitely check that out. Hopefully that will get you something, maybe answer some questions a little bit better than I can do. Gotta go, Ian. It's 2 a.m. Rodolfo, thank you so much for stopping by. Dude, always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much. Even if it's just for 5 minutes. I appreciate it. I just tried to Z-remesh the folders. I try to remember the folders I keep stuff in, even though I always wind up forgetting. Same here, Craft. Same here. VDM brush, created brush is acting like it doesn't want to save. My VDM created brush is acting like it doesn't want to save to the interface. Interesting. I have no idea, man. Yo, I love the stager feature a lot. Oh, sweet, man. Awesome, dude. Cuts out hiding and masking parts. Exactly, yeah. Oh, I love it so much too. Okay, so let's create this hairbrush while I'm still getting younger by the minute. So we're gonna go ahead and okay. So let's make some modifications. First things first, let's get this acting the way we want it to. So we're gonna open up our stroke option right here, and we're going to go to curve modifiers. We're going to go to curve fall off. We're going to go to size, and we're going to I turn off intensity, and we're going to go ahead and flip V that, touch that bad boy, and now we have spiky hair, just like that. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're very welcome, Blue Ribbon. All seems like a Mr. Mistake. Look at me, look here. Yeah. Dude, Paul is amazing. When I first started learning ZBrush, I was so scared. And then I found, Joseph Druss, Michael Pavlovich, Paul Gabry, Shane Olsen. I found those guys, and it just made the information super easy to absorb. And I just thank those guys for making those videos simpler, because there's a lot of tutorials everywhere, but it's hard sometimes to find good content. And so, if it helps, it helps. And when I can't explain some things, but I know it's a work, I'll send you to the best of the best, guys. That's what I try. Okay, let's go back here to the stroke before I ramble on like it's never going to happen. I'm going to increase this a little bit just to give me a little bit of a thickness here. Kind of live that right there, just like such. So that little bit, even lifting this up just a smidge, is going to give me not such a rounded edge, which is what I appreciate. I don't want it necessarily completely round, but I don't want it completely sharp either. I'm then going to go to a nice little brush option, some modifiers, and what we're going to do is we're going to drop this brush modifier to an even number 8, which will give me a little bit of easy peasy, flowing CoverGirl stuff right there. Right there. That didn't make sense? Sorry. It's basically going to control the amount of edge loops I have. Before it was at 20. So you can see here, that's just a lot of edge loops to control. And with stylized characters, anime characters, or anything in between, you want a nice low topology count in order to give you clean results. So by going to modifiers under my brush, and I hit something like, I mean, we can even do 6, and then tap that, and that's just going to give us some really cool stuff. I think 8's going to be 8. There we go. That way we can actually create a nice, clean, crisp edge setup. And then what we're going to do from here is we're going to do curve resolution. Let's do something like 10. And no pressure. That should be fine. Nope. Curve resolution 1. We'll leave it there. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. Check smooth for a second. No, that's fine. Okay. Just something like that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and delete hidden. Now what I'm going to do is actually control the depth of the brush. Very quickly make DBZ your anime hair. Kind of, yeah. Basically, that's the long of it. What we're going to do is go to depth now, and I'm actually going to drop the depth like this. And what that will do is that will allow my hair to be below the surface a bit. Kind of embed that a bit. Might be a little too much. Oh, okay. Let's go back over to stroke. Let's go to curve functions. Nope, lied to you. We're going to go to curve. And then we're going to do lock start. And then for the repel, let's add a little bit of a repel strength. Those just kind of give us a little bit of a spot. That might be too much. Do like a 1. Yeah, like that. Perfect. Cool. And then fall off. Let's see what that does. Yeah, let's do a heavier fall off. All right. That'll give us a little something that we're looking for. That way we at least have a nice spot that we're going. Now we can drag that, and then we can kind of manipulate that as such. There we go. Perfect. I think that's going to be good for our application. Go ahead, back that up a little bit. And now we're going to go ahead and start dragging out some fun hair. You know what? There we go. I guess maybe that repel is just not going to work for me. That's fine. There we go. Now what we're going to do is I'm actually going to tap anywhere, grab this, and I'm going to split hidden. I'm going to hit transparency, and now I'm going to fiddle with this piece. Kind of get what I want. And we can do this one way. This is one way to make a brush. We can actually do another thing too if we wanted. Or we can utilize a few other brushes. I've utilized SK brush hair before. Super amazing hairbrush. So. And then a trick that I do a lot is I actually go ahead and turn on backface with my move. And that will help thicken some stuff up too if you want some wider pieces such. And I'm thinking actually I'm going to want to make a different brush. Let's do that. This happens a lot to me, guys, where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do something different. So that's one way to do it. Let's do take number 2. What's up, dude? Uncle Jesse, what's happening, dude? Just wanted to say hi. Saw you were streaming and wanted to pop in. Love seeing you here often. Dude, thank you so much, man. Dude, I saw those Crocs you were rocking on Twitter, and I was like, what is those? Tell me they're super comfortable. Sell me, buddy. Sell me. They look comfy. Everybody says they're comfy, but I'm like... Yes, that is. Absolutely. Archineer. Archineer! Archineer. I love it. Like engineer, but art. Great name. Any good tutorials for beginner? You're looking at it. I'm your beginner tutorial. Ask me anything. Let me know. You enjoyed a sculptastic? I enjoy as well. All right, let's do another hair. I want to do an actual really nice hair piece. So you guys will just get all sorts of cool stuff. Do not delete that. All right. Here we go. Hair. Hair everywhere. We're going to go to initialize, and we're going to cube this sucker. Like this. And we are going to make... We're going to make a fun little hairbrush. Okay, first things first. I'm going to hit W. We're going to scale this up like this. And we're going to make a fun hair shape. Then we're going to take Z modeler. So BZM. Insert multi-edge loop. And we're just going to get 3 pieces like this. And then I'm going to... Nope, that's... I'm going to go like this. It'll be fun. And then we're actually going to taper this in a little bit. We'll get a shape like that. And let's actually put this in the middle, and let's stretch that out a bit. Now I'm going to pick that spot right there. And the reason I'm going to do that is I'm actually going to grab that section. And I'm going to kind of bring this up a little bit. Okay. Take this guy, and we're going to push that down a little. That's going to give me just a little bit of lift there. Ian, a lot of progress since Stylus League. Oh yeah, Ram. Absolutely. Welcome in, dude. Welcome in. There we go. Something like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this right here, and I'm going to auto group that so that they are different colors. That's going to be really important for our hairpiece, okay? You're streaming until what time, sir, Ian? Son of his Eon. I won't apologize. Zbrush update anticipations high. Dude, absolutely. I'm waiting for that lovely thing to pop up in my window that says Zbrush update is ready for you. Ian. I am streaming for the next 2 hours. I stream from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is what I think I'm on now. I was on PDT. Now Daylight Savings Time was today, so it's fall back. So I fell back an hour, and I feel it. How to make your model as navigation figure. Oh, this up here? I explained it earlier in the stream, Crush Machine, but... Take this link. Loop. Head over to my YouTube channel. Go to Zbrush Help. And there is a cam view tutorial. It'll help you out. Or hop over to YouTube right now on this stream and back up like 30 minutes. Okay. We got this guy right here. Now we're going to make this an IMM brush. An insert mesh brush. We're going to do that. We're going to say, yep, that is it. And that's it. That's our hair. Not very exciting, I know. Thanks. It's 5 a.m. in Moscow. Wow. You are up early. Well, I'm so happy to see you here. Now we're going to go to modifiers. Nope. First, we have to do something more important than that. We got to go to curve mode. Got to go stroke curve mode. Come on. And you know what you're doing. Weld points, stretch points. Bloop. Curve resolution. What I also want to do, I'm going to grab this sucker right here. want to widen it like such. And I want to stretch this out a little bit. There and there. Probably don't have to do gold points at that point. Definitely want the resolution up. Let's do that one more time. I don't know why I did that. Oh, you guys listen. Pick this guy. There we go. Here we go. Oh. Yeah, that is early. That is early. Okay. So I widened that bit up a little bit. So now we go back to stroke, turn on curve mode, go to tri-parts, and then weld points together. Bloop. Now we're welded. Now we have something that we can work with, kind of give us a little bit of some hair taper. If we turn on dynamic, we can see that we have some pretty skinny hair strand. So you could do this as often as you want and make this for whatever you would like to make it. And then of course too, you can always turn up the curve resolution a little bit to give it a little bit more of a softer transition, which is from there a little bit more adaptable. So we're going to go with something like that. And the reason we're going to do that is we're going to lay down some hair strands and then get them where we want. So let's take this subtool, just go ahead and delete this guy right there. Let's go back to her head. Let's hide her hair. And now we're going to go ahead and actually make a duplicate of this for a second. So we're going to delete lower. Reason why I'm doing that is because I have posable symmetry on that face. I'm going to say yep. Go ahead and do auto groups real quick. I'm going to delete hidden. Go. Now we can work with this. So let's actually let's frame her face a little bit. I'm gonna do that like such. Get a little bit bigger. Go. Now I'm going to go ahead and actually delete the one strand I don't need. Get that. And then we can take this hair strand. There. And now we can mess with this a little bit. Beautiful! Yay! Cool. I'll be here learning. I find when using close ends and then try using clay buildup anywhere near those connected corners really messes up the geometry bad. Yeah, Chris, it can. If you want to use something like clay buildup when you're using low mesh, just make sure that you have enough topology to capture that. If it's too small, it actually might give you some issues. But yeah. I'm using the Move Infinite brush to quickly move the mesh around equally on all sides as the viewport shows. You can use something like your normal move brush, and that's totally fine. It works too, but sometimes you just want to make sure everything is correct. Now this is where repel actually might come into play a little bit. So what we could do is maybe take this brush one more time. And also, let's save it real fast so we actually have it for the next time. So save as, and then we will call this Ian's made another brush. Boop. 2021. Now what we could do is we could actually go back up to our stroke and go up to repel and maybe turn repel on a little bit, say 1 or 2, and now we can kind of see that's just too much for me. I don't like that. I don't like it. I could change it, I'm sure. Now we just look at our fun character and we say, hey. And what we're gonna do as well, I'm not going to freak out about how many, like, I'm not gonna like make one and then tweak on it forever and then make another one. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make one and then I'm gonna make a second one. Something like that. I'm gonna hit that and make a third one. Maybe change the size a little bit. A little too. We're gonna get the hair blocked out officially the way we want it to. Just looking at my reference real quick. Looks like funky dunky stuff, but we'll get it looking right. Yeah, we're gonna touch that right there. We're gonna draw this down up a little bit. Go upward twice. This is why I like the curve brush so much. I'm able to just kind of move stuff around, get it looking right. Tap that right there. Let's take the move brush itself. Start pulling where we want it to be. He's perfect. Leave it as is. How long would you say it takes to get used to Zbrush UI? I'm crying myself to sleep coming from Blender. Great question. To be frank, it depends on how much time you want to put into it. For me, when I first started about 5 years ago in ZBrush, it took me a few weeks to really get used to it. I know there's a lot of information here, and looking at my screen probably isn't going to help you with that. But you know, if you have any questions, like what I would say to get used to the UI quickly is ignore everything that you see here. Let's go back to restore standard. So this is your standard UI. This is probably what you're looking at along with the rest of the world. So we have this right here. There's so much information here that it is overwhelming. So the very first thing I tell people is when you're in ZBrush, the things that you really should just kind of play around with and remember is just, you know, go over your subtool palette here. Just know that, like, you know, the general function of here, copy, paste, all that good stuff. Play with the brushes a little bit. I have additional brushes, so this is a lot more. But just slowly introduce new things to yourself. You can't learn it all. I would say if you were to get, like, there's over 900 features here. There's so many things here. But yeah, I would say just absorb it a little bit at a time. You don't have to know everything about ZBrush to be good in it. You just have to know, not even 20%, like 5% of this program is what most people utilize. It's so much. So just kind of know where the important stuff is. Obviously, you'd want to save under tool, unless you know, not file save. That's a big one that a lot of people get confused in the beginning. Saving as a tool is much smaller and more common. Save as under File, we'll save a project. It gets massive over time. But if you have any specific questions, because I can ramble forever and it's really not going to be helpful. If you have any specific questions about what you are having troubles access, I could try to answer them as much as possible. It took you a few months, Graphican. It says, almost crying, mostly just wanted to smash my controller at it. I feel ya. Less than a month for Chris to learn the UI, but I've also been messing with ZBrush for a long time. While there are always being added things. There's always things being added. The UI is forever changing. The UI is forever changing, which is awesome. Yeah. Wow. Don't listen to me, guys. I guess I woke up without the ability to speak. It helps to just follow videos on how to customize UI. It helps you understand how everything works. Exactly. Yep. Hello, Turbo Graveler. Welcome in. Thank you for that great response. Not a problem. I do have look at that. Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. Okay, that the most important one, guys. I don't like the screensaver in ZBrush. If I had to say one bad thing about it, that would be I don't like the screensaver. So go to Preferences, go to Screensaver, and turn it off. I don't like it. Everybody's art on there is amazing. I like to look at my stuff. I haven't liked Blender, but when I paid for ZBrush, there was more of a drive to want to learn something I paid for. And that really centered around exactly what I want and need. Yep, great response, dude. Woo, B, what's happening? How are you doing? I'm doing great, man. Thanks for asking. Thanks for asking, brother. Okay, we're doing hair right now. Hair everywhere is hair. What we're gonna do here is grab this. I'm actually going to... remove some of her hair and I do this a lot. Delete hidden. So we're going to go to modify topology and delete hidden on that. I will, you know what? Okay, I'm going to challenge myself. I know there's a lot of people who are very new to ZBrush and custom UIs are great. I encourage everybody to learn how to use one, but it isn't really super helpful, I understand. When you're trying to figure out where things are exactly. My UI is a little bit customized to things I grab quickly at work, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't mind rocking standard ZBrush for a little bit just to help you guys out. So let me know if that helps you. And definitely, yeah, just take a day and browse ZBrush. That's always helpful too. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and delete hidden there as well. Her hair is kind of a darker gray. So we're going to go ahead and do this, and we're going to fill color. So if you go up to document color, there we go, fill object, boom. Color, object. Now she has some darker hair. You could play with this a little bit. Now for this, I'm going to go ahead and let's do auto groups. So let's go to poly groups and auto groups. Now what I like to do is use the gizmo active and hold Control Shift and tap the piece that I want to edit. That's going to mask it. And now we can use the move brush a little bit to move and shape her hair the way we want it to. And for this, it's going to be a pretty big clump right there. Or we just tap right at what we want. Mainly focused on... Oh yes, definitely learn to customize the UI to your liking. Yes, absolutely. It's going to benefit you so well. Mainly focus on hard surface modeling. I saw the potential of ZBrush and the stuff people were making. A lot of the work relies on booleans, and my brain broke trying it in ZBrush. I completely understand. Hard surface for me was very... I'm okay at it, but I'm not gonna lie. Like, hard surface for me, I have to be a bit of a tryhard to get it right. I come from a very organic background, but even in character sculpting, we need to know all the ins and outs of it. So it's for me, the less you have to jump around from program to program, the better. You know, that's kind of my thing. So at the end of the day, you know, just stick with it. Trust me, you will have easier time the more you get in there. See, like for example, I keep hitting 2 on the keyboard. I'm sure some of you've seen that. That's because that's how I usually have my custom set up, because I have a hotkey there. Like if I were to store my custom UI and hit 2, this is the most important thing. If you do anything, create a custom hotkey menu, and everything else can just be wherever you want it. Let's see here. If you're talking to me, then no problem. Yeah, it would help a bit, but I know it's different than what you're doing currently, and don't want to sidetrack you. Oh, you're fine. I'm here for you guys. I love teaching ZBrush. I love teaching art. I just love teaching, and that's why I'm here. So feel free, ask away. That's yeah. I would say the majority of my the majority of my ZBrush stuff here is primarily focused on you guys. So use away. Oh, you guys want to see a really cool brush? See a really cool, not brush, but I mean, just you want to see something cool. You guys like that? Okay, we're gonna go to brush curve, Acu curve, and that's gonna help draw things to a point. Really, really fun. That Acu curve a lot. You can get things a little bit sharper with a point. Which is nice. Yeah, I docked Acu curve as well. It's amazing. Oop. Go ahead and put up. Hair takes forever too, by the way. If anybody's curious. Hair, I have never been able to do hair quickly. So a lot of custom tries. So here, back face. Turn back face off. Ian, do you have any types on adding supports for miniatures? I'm having some issues with like divots when I remove them, even if they are light supports. Yeah, what I would recommend that you do is take a look at. Well, first off, it depends on what slicer you're using, but I think every slicer kind of does it. What I would suggest you do is that. Where there's if you're making custom, let me back up a second. If you're making custom supports, and I can actually demo this a little bit. Let me pop over here real fast. Let's go make Polymesh 3D. Okay, let me save this real quick. Okay, let's go here real quick. So this is I could do a little bit of show and tell. What I would say is, let's say you have your model right here, and then you have your support, right? Oop. Just stretch this out like this. Let's say you have your support, Move this up over here like this. So there's always a way to adjust this within your slicer, but let's say you have your support right here, and then you have most supports have like a little bit of a ball on the end, right? You have your ball right here, right? That's your base support. And a lot of times when you're adjusting your supports, you know, you have it kind of like embedded in the model a little bit, and that's going to leave a divot. A lot of the ways I do with making custom supports or just adjusting the support settings in my slicer, but a lot of times what I'll do is I'll actually shrink the tip of it down pretty small. Do something like this a little bit. It's not super big. And then what I end up doing with it is I actually have the support like kind of touching, but not really. So this is how I adjust my light supports, not my heavy supports. My heavy is going to be holding that sucker on, but my light support, I actually have it just kissing it just a little bit like that, because then it will fall off really easily. Ideally, you want your heavies, like 1 or 2 can hold a whole model together depending on the weight of the model itself. The medium should basically be very similar to your light, except for it's probably touching a little bit more on the inside, giving you the base support for it all. But your light model, you kind of want it going down here and just barely kissing it. It's just supposed to kind of help hold up some ends, but typically you don't want them really embedded because it'll cause those divots. Another thing you could do is some post-processing. What you could do is when you take your model out of the printer, you can kind of dip it in some warm, not hot, but warm water, and that will, because your material is pliable, what you could do is you could dip it, it'll rinse it off a little bit, but then it will also kind of help the supports fall off. It'll make them a little bit more pliable that you can peel them off with ease. A lot of people use, myself included, will use like an ultrasonic cleaner. You could pick one up for pretty cheap, maybe like $80 for a decent sized one. And then you could put like some mean green, or you could put in some like pine sol, almost like a very, not a super harsh cleaner, but just something that's gonna be good enough, and you could soak your print in there. You buy it with a heater, and it kind of heats it up a little bit, and then the print supports just fall right off, which is good. So but yeah, kind of go through it a little bit. There's also some great tutorials. Shout out to Uncle Jesse if he's here still, because he does a lot of that stuff. So definitely, you could do a little bit more show and tell. But if I were to make custom supports here in ZBrush, I would approach it like that. So hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully that gets you a little closer to it. Rodeska, dude, what's happening, man? Welcome in. Yes, also remove the supports before you cure. That is a huge one. Yeah, Chichu box. Yeah, you can adjust that in Chichu box, no problem. I have made custom supports in ZBrush, yes. Slicers don't quite do everything that you want, but be careful with doing that. be very careful when doing that. You want to make sure you get your stuff right. You want to make sure you get it done right. I also would recommend that Zbrush Slicer does a great job with bringing your models in, slice and then supporting them, and then taking them off. And then you can import that file, the STLs, export them out of that, and put them in the Chichu box, and that should help you out. Do you work for Pixologic, or have you worked in the game film industry? I'm having a 1/4 life crisis because I'm almost finished with school for graphic design. Then I discovered 3D, Blender, XXX, and I'm obsessed. Oh. First things first, do not panic. I I do not directly work for Pixologic, but I am honored to be on their Pixologic stream team, where we come in and we volunteer some time to teach ZBrush with everybody. This is actually kind of how I'm building up my... because I do want to teach more full-time at some point in my career, so this helps me get that goal. So I am affiliated with them, but I am not an employee. That being said, I work in the toy industry, so I work for a company called Funko LLC. You might possibly know who they are. Maybe. Possibly. I'm actually surprised there's a few people who have not heard of Funko, and I thought that was hilarious. But I work for them. I'm a digital sculptor, and I've been with them for 6 months. I freelanced before I was hired with them. Not much, man. How are you? I'm doing great, Radeska. Thanks for asking, man. Thank you for asking. Also, the flashpoint of the ISO is yes. I do not recommend. Let me go back to that. If you're going to use an ultrasonic cleaner, do not use isopropyl alcohol or ethanol in that cleaner. That's a fire hazard waiting to happen. Use something that is a light chemical compound. So like I mentioned, like pine sol is pretty good. Check the rating. Mean green is another one. I don't take mine past 30 Celsius ever. I don't even think that. I think maybe it's... yeah, I don't take it past 30. So, but check the bottle, check the label. So yeah, Bretheon Studios, thank you for calling that out. It's really important to note. Check the MSDS sheet, or check the back of the bottle, or just Google what is the flashpoint of pine sol, and that will tell you. And be careful, but don't use isopropyl. That's don't do that. Of course, my collection is disgusting. Cam got crazy blurry. Did it really? Oh, here, I'll pop up. I'll show you guys. Here, this is my favorite. This is my favorite pop. See if it will. Oh, is it blurry now? Hold on. Transition. Oh, it's blurry. That auto zoom is just not working. But this is my favorite pop. I wish I made him. I don't know why my camera's not working with me. Autofocus not working. Yep, Deadpool Ross. Yeah, a buddy of mine, we were searching hard. We were searching hard to find him. And he called me up. He's like, I found him. I was like, yeah. And that was before I started working with him, which is cool. Okay. Let's go back to making some hair. Also, too, guys, real quick, with cleaning tips whatsoever, here I'm gonna show you guys something real quick. Okay, I feel like this is super important. Okay. So, as we were talking about fire safety and all that good stuff, it just got clear. Okay, safety data sheet searches is a really good spot. What you could do is you could go to Google and you can type in things. MSDS sheets, they're basically it's a way to find out what the material safety is on what you're using, any toxic hazards, etc. It's pretty common in the US, but I believe there is, like, OSHA's a US thing, but I know worldwide they had some other stuff. Anyway, what you could do is, if you're not sure about something and you're going to heat it up, what you could do is you can go ISO, like this, alcohol MSDS sheet. And this will tell you what that information is. And it'll give you all of that. Definitely super, super danger, flammable, may form explosive. So this is really good information. And it just takes a moment to do that. Where here, like, you can go Pine Sol MSDS sheet here. And then, of course, to save the data sheet, and it'll explain what it is, all that good stuff. I know it's a lot, but when you're dealing with manufacturing, and that's what 3D printing is in general, it is definitely important to cover this stuff. So I spent 12 years in aerospace manufacturing, and I learned a lot of that stuff, and I want to send that stuff to you guys as well. So just remember MSDS sheets, and then type in whatever compound you're trying to put into a ultrasonic cleaner, and ensure that it's safe before you do it. Super important. And if you guys have any questions about that stuff whatsoever, you want a more definitive answer, or you're just still unsure, do me a favor, guys, and join my Discord. You can ask all these questions there. You go to the link tree. We have a huge community there of artists who come in and just hang out, volunteer their time. It's a great spot. But at the very bottom is my Discord link. Jump in there, and you can always tag me directly and ask, like, hey, is this safe? Should I do this? Whatever. And I can help at least point you in a good direction. But I really want to make sure that that's a clear message across the board. Just don't take something like isopropyl, throw it into a ultrasonic cleaner. Not good for your health. So anyway, yeah. Okay, let's move on to some hair. I also wanted to point out too that sometimes with hair, I will use SK's hairbrushes because he has a lot of anime hairbrushes. So if you never like the one that you make, you can always find another. Go back to my reference. And hopefully I didn't scare a bunch of people. Yeah, man, you know it. Okay, brush is perfect. You're on it. Thank you, Ruthion Studios. Definitely check out his brushes. That he's an artist. He's also another Pixologic streamer and a huge anime sculptor, where I've learned most of my stuff when it comes to anime. Okay. So I'm thinking about starting in 2022. 2020. Yeah, we're 2021. Think about starting in 2022, working more exclusively in ZBrush Core to showcase how amazing and powerful ZBrush Core is. Let me know if that's something that's going to intrigue you guys, because I know there's a few people here who have used or has bought ZBrush Core, and if that's something that is good to know, we can make a lot of sculpting tutorials there as well. It intrigues me. I'm looking for Core on my laptop. Nice. Nice. All right. Yeah, I'm putting together a pretty nice little, I wouldn't say like, not like course, but you know, I figured after the Demon Slayer project, we could sculpt something really fun in ZBrush Core. Because look, let's face it, ZBrush Core is super affordable and super powerful. So why not use it? And I own it, so you know. It's actually how I got into ZBrush. Want to know if it's good to use because I want my daughter to have a sculpting app. Oh my gosh. Jessica, dude. Yeah, Mom, we're doing it. We're doing it. Here you go. Okay. Made my day, buddy. We're going to do it. Nice. I'm a core user and would really appreciate that. Heck yeah. 7 face. I love it. Yep. Stand by the full version. The best money I've ever spent. Oh yeah, I love the full version. But not everybody can afford it. So I get it. Woo! Hey Ian, is there any way to apply a brush stitch, for example, along a curve? I'm looking forward to this feature for about 2 years. Wait, is there any way to apply a brush? Yeah, there is. Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, there absolutely is. Lewis, what's up, buddy? Yeah. That's how I make my, let's just do it. Yeah. Can't even speak today, so let's just use my actions for everything. That's actually how I do the trimmings on the suit. There we go, finally. Able to say it. Okay, great. So I'm gonna copy this and paste this over here in this world. Over here. Yep. Go paste. And we're gonna go delete. We're doing it live, folks. We're doing it live. Okay, so here, let's lower the resolution of this for a bit. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, so if you wanna create a curve and then you want to apply a brush. Now, let me just reiterate this. You can turn any brush into a curve brush, which is what you want to use. Now, some brushes make better curve brushes than others. So, for example, if you are trying to make a stitch brush that is a curve brush, that's going to help you out. So let's start there, okay? But let's go over how the process is done. It's more important than actually making the brush, right? So what you want to do first, and this is super simple. What you could do is go up to your stroke and then go to curve functions. And what we're going to do is we're just going to frame the mesh. And now you have to decide what you want to frame. If you have different polygroups, for example, let's go here to super low resolution. And let's say that right here, as we auto group this, click this guy right here. Oop, right? So let's say we have different polygroups right here. So what you could do is you can go up to stroke, curve functions, and frame mesh on just the polygroups. And now you have this wrap around. From here, you could just take a curve brush. So we'll just do a curve 2 brush for simple demonstration. And then you could touch it right there. And now that brush is projected onto that curve without any issues. This also works too if you want to frame the border of something. You just go up to, again, back to stroke, like border this time, and then it'll frame only the borders of that. And then you just touch there. And now, of course, too, depending on how you have things set up here, like, for example, my modifiers, I need to reset this. And now this is where different brushes come in. There's a bit of a taper here for some reason, right? So let's actually come here. Let's pick another one. Let's do curve flat. Boop. And now we have... So it really depends on the idea of what you're trying to do or what you're trying to achieve. But let's say you want to throw a stitch right here down the middle. Okay? Like this is a stitched spot. So that's where the stroke and then the polygroups frame mesh comes in. Then from here... Now, I may have to build a brush, but let's say we have this chain brush right here. We come up to stroke, go to curve, turn on curve mode. Back that up a second. There we go. So I just took a basic chain brush. So again, let's go up to, real quick, this is what the brush is. This is the standard brush in ZBrush. We also have, I believe there's a stitch brush in ZBrush. Yep, there is a stitch right here. There's a stitch here. Come up to stroke, curve mode, turn that on. Okay, that one doesn't work as well, which is a bummer. But you get the idea. So really what you want to do is create a IMM brush that then you could turn into a curve brush that then you could turn around and use to project that way. What's the difference between curve multi-tube and curve tube? So curve multi-tube allows you to have multiple, that should allow you to have multiple tubes at once, and curve tube itself. So for example, here, I draw this out. I have all these different active curve functions where if we were to just touch here and go to curve tube itself, I have one, I draw it out, that curve is active. I have another one, that curve disappears, and now that curve is active. So you can only have one curve active at a time. Whereas with the curve multi-brush, you can have multiple curves at the same time until you're happy, and then you touch it and make it disappear. I think I made a big mess. I've been putting some brushes and ended up making some disappear, like one, which I don't like. I don't remember the name. It was the damn stand. I think it was the damn stander. How do I get that back? Okay, so as long as you didn't mess with the ZBrush brush location within the folder system, try going to brush and then coming all the way down and saying reset all brushes. And that will reset everything, every brushes that you have, including the ones you make. So make sure to save those before you do that, like I didn't do. But but yeah, that's try to go to reset all brushes. That should set it all back to ZBrush standard. If that doesn't work, then that means you deleted it from the source, and the source would be, you were to go to your hard drive settings. Now on Mac, I think you just got to go to applications, but for PC, just go to program files, Pixologic, click in here, and then you have your ZBrush brushes, and these are all the brushes that are here. You shouldn't ever mess with this ZBrushes. So as long as it's in here, when you go to brush and then reset all brushes, it's going to reset all of those by default. Worst case scenario, like Raytheon says, just reinstall. Yep. And if you go to reinstall, a lot of times it will just ask you if you want to uninstall it or if you actually want to fix your installation. A lot of times just doing that will help you out. Not a problem. Yeah, and also Michael Pavich has a lot of videos on stuff like that. Absolutely. All right. So there we go. And then, of course, too, if you have any floating curves like this that you can't disappear, just grab any curve brush and just tap, and that will make those curves disappear. Okay, now I either have to make another brush or I have to use an SK brush. And I think for the sake of moving on and doing stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and just use one of SK's current hair brushes. Why not? Yeah, not a problem. Here, Alexi, did that answer your question overall? By the way, just want to make sure that that helped out, or if I need to go a little bit deeper on that. Pretty sure I docked. Did I not dock it? Oh, it's up here. Bloop. I want to make that a little bit pointy. There you go. My AccuCurve off. I think I was in the middle of actually coming up with a new UI to make room for some new features that are going to be hopefully dropped sometime soon. Alright guys, it's almost 7 o'clock, so we got about another hour coming through. Okay, so I'm not gonna finesse this a lot. I'm just kind of using these strips of hair here to get this relatively the shape that I want. We'll finesse that once we get the majority of it done. Now the fun part is that this character's hair is just amazing, wild, and I love it. So really lends us to kind of do some exaggerative measures. Now, something like this, what we can do, we can take this strand, and let's actually grab it. I'm going to go ahead and hide everything else. I'm going to split hidden. What I'm going to do is actually take this, drag control, and I'm going to kind of utilize this one strip to get a good chunk of the stuff blocked out where her hair gets pulled back. Kamara! Happening, Kamara? Welcome in, welcome in. I'm gonna go ahead and hit auto groups. Yeah. Let's go back and grab that. Oop. Oh no, SK. S, and I was using the Air IMM. See, this is where multi-curves would actually come in handy, because then what I can do is just kind of draw multiple tubes of similar stuff, and then that real quick. Hold on, hey, what's up? Oh, hello, everybody. Welcome in, welcome in. Ka. Thanks for coming in, hanging out. Some layers to this. Now, if you have all these different poly groups like this and you want to manipulate one at a time, there's this cool little trick called Topology. So for those of you who are new into ZBrush, if you just go to brush, you go to auto masking, and then down at the bottom, topological. If you click that, what this will let you do, and you got to be careful that you don't turn it on with every brush, but I use a lot with the move brush, is that it'll let you move one poly group at a time. So that way what we can do is just, instead of having to mask off each section, right, we just hit auto groups, and then from here we can just manipulate the one hair strand that we want. This is a really useful trick when it comes to hair in general. Now we're going to be layering our hair, so for right now, I'm not worried about this embedding in too much. But we will try to kind of like get it into the bangs area a little bit. Like that. You want hair to look like it came from somewhere. You don't want hair to look like it's just sitting on top. It won't look good. Take that time to just quickly bury it, and it will look 100% better. Would the mask by polygroup slider work as well? Yeah, it would. I think that's just a little bit more work, personally, but it should work out. For me, this is kind of a one-click button trick to kind of get you the results that you would want. And then here, what I would do, I'd also utilize this with backface mask turned on, which also can be found under brush and auto masking. It's right there. And here, what I could do is then as I can make some parts or little bits a little wider in some area, give it a little bit of body and volume. Also, two areas that are still kind of floating a bit, we can kind of pull that down. You can control just the ones that you want to insert into her hair cap, skull cap, whichever cap we've created. And hair is its own character too. A lot of times you'll hear me say character sculpting is like sculpting 5 characters. That's because I consider the face to be its own character, hands and feet are their own, followed by hair and then clothing. So you have a lot of elements to consider when doing when sculpting a full character. And for this, you know, we're kind of just getting it all laid out. And here, instead of just masking off every time, I could just reposition the thing that I want. And let's say like all this is too thick a little bit. So let's actually go to deformation and inflate. And we'll just drop that down just a little bit. And I can reposition. And then of course too, come back up to the brush. Now I have topological baked up here, so if I want to move a lot of strands at the same time, that's when we just go back. Gonna repeat this until we get what we want. Logical back on. I tried to save that feature to a brush, but it applies to everything. Yeah, with topological turned on, if I were to go, like, topological should be brush dependent, so I have topological turned on with the move brush. Same with backface. If it's on the move brush and then you go to a clay buildup, it should be off. But sometimes we get overzealous and we just turn it on for everything, and then everything has it. So you could just reset brushes at that point too, if you're having an issue. Should just be, like I said, brush dependent. Now notice here I had topological turned on and everything's masked, and it does. Sometimes it's hard to grab it though. I find that with the mask turned on, sometimes it can cause a little bit of issues though. Yeah, it's causing Not doing. The back face on. This is super cathartic to me. I could do this all day. Let's look at it from back here. Okay. Let's manipulate this a little. Turn back face. Good back face is. Up a little bit more. Back face back on. We're going to want some hair strands coming down and around this way. Go back to our SK. That's what we're using right now, IMM. We're going to try to match this set still. Way too big. Oop. Gonna kind of layer this up a little bit. Go, let's tap that. Let's turn this back on. Let's go ahead and auto group it so it's all separate. Keep going. Got backface turned on. Don't need to do that. What's up, Vendor? Let's see. When I do hair like this, I just use some brush and sculpt the hair. For me, it's easier than use curves. There's some advantage on using curves. Yeah, so for me, the reason why I'm using curves is because I want really clean, stylized hair. So it allows me to keep the topology low and put in the flow of the hair exactly how I want. It is a bit tedious, for sure, but I like the results at the end. So it's a little bit of a choice, but for sure you could definitely kind of sculpt over a little bit if you would like. Give you get more of a sculpted look. But for me, I'm going for like just really clean. So each strand will just be looking fairly decent from afar. Hey, twitching hamstring. How you doing? Headed to bed, brother. Chat with you tomorrow. Yeah, Matt, take it easy, man. Would you have used the 2 brush in radial symmetry to put the hairband? No, not quite, because I'm actually in pose. I'm not working asymmetrically. And also, too, I recommend that it's best to not have hair look symmetrical, because hair kind of flows on its own. It's rare that people would have symmetrical looking hair, so I wouldn't use symmetry anyway, but maybe for like the initial block out. But I am sculpting in pose, so there's definitely a little bit more of a challenge that way. I do a lot of asymmetrical sculpting. Most of my work is done asymmetrically. But, yes, you could easily approach it that way, for sure. There's no real wrong way to eat a Reese's, guys. Just all what works for you. This works for me, I like it. It's also very cathartic, I find, personally. Right, interpolate. You know what? I never tried to use. I have not used I have not tried to use interpolate with hair. So I may have to try that. Let's try it. Let's see what we got. I'm down. Let me just finish this thought. Things and thoughts. Okay, let's see something. Actually grab the, let's do the IMM hairbrush, and let's say I want to flow from here. And back that up, because interpolate counts a lot of things as a stroke. So let's say I want to do that from here. Here. Let's go to stroke. Alright, is it under stroke? Yep, there it is, interpolate. Do 10 strands. Yep, you do that. There it is. There it is! There it is! Yep. That'll probably be better with the next update, too. Let me see something. Alright, alright. My wheels are spinning. Let's try something. That's what we're about here, right? Okay. We're going to go ahead and we're going to duplicate. Just so I have this bit right here. Okay, I'm going to grab this guy. And I'm going to grab this hair strand. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and delete hidden. And I'm just going to move them over here. Just because I want a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to go, want this here, want this here, stroke, interpolate. Wow, I want this bunch together fairly well, so let's do 18. Oh. All right, oh yeah, it's pretty good. Alright, let's do this one. Paul's gonna watch this and he's gonna be like, why didn't you do this earlier? Come on! What's wrong with you? I don't know. Boom! There it is. Okay. And now what we could do. Look at that. That. You guys just made my life easier. Who's teaching who over here? Guess then we can just kind of move this all forward. Right. Up a little bit. We can finesse this as a group. just a little bit. Now what we could do is turn on back face. Get a little bit of here. Do a relax smooth on some of these strands. All right, cleaned up. Cleanup action. Turn off that back face for a second and kind of push these bits in to where that bun's gonna be. Here a little bit. Well, there it is. That's how you could do it. Oh, you guys are awesome. All right. Let's see here. How do you set up macros for your brush? I don't know macros much at all. So, I don't know macros very well. Definitely an Ask Zbrush moment. Yeah, IR is, so my name's Ian Robinson. So IR, a sculptor dude. What I do. Yep. It's just my name brought down. And then it applies to everything. You know, I didn't really think about it intentional, but somebody brought it up. I don't know if you guys remember, what was it? No. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Baboon. Show. Man, there's a cartoon. Anyway, whatever. I'm losing it, and it's not really IR Baboon. Yeah. That was the show, right? Anyway, I kind of thought of that a little bit because it's a joke. IR an animator, IR sculptor, IR an idiot. It's me. Yeah, that's me. That's who I am. I am Weasel was the cartoon. There it is. There it goes. Yeah. Thank you, Kamara. Shout out for Kamara. Amazing, talented artist, but also he has my back. I appreciate it. All right, so that's how you interpolate hair really fast, and instead of wasting, 30 minutes with each strand like I do, you could just do that and call it a day. Kind of start putting some of this here where it belongs. How do you tell someone to give back your back if they have it? You rock paper scissors for it. You don't need pants for a victory dance, and neither does Ian's call. I love it. Yeah, give it front, exactly. Ian, do you have the part of the video where you're making hands? In this model, no. Actually, over at the Stylus League is where I started this project in particular. But I've done hands before. But what's your main question regarding hands? Are you just trying to figure out how to block out a hand? Because I can quickly cover that for you if you like. So normally you would interpolate. That was the first time I used interpolate for hair. I played with interpolate with more muscles before, when I want muscle shapes a certain way. But that was the first time I did it with hair because the conversation came up, and that worked out pretty well. So, I'd still want to layer it. It looks a little too robotic and a little too clean. And that's something you'll hear a lot with digital sculpting, is that it looks too clean. Some things are supposed to be messy, so I would still finesse this, but I mean, for quick strands, that's pretty good, actually. But I mean, think about it. It's really all on what your end goal is for the product itself or the model itself. You know, if you wanted something a little bit more messy, I would definitely do it by hand. I feel like it just has a little bit more of an appeal, but this isn't terrible either. You know, if you got to do a lot of strands, that's a lot, but you can layer this, utilize it, and then put extra strands on top of it. You can almost combine the two methods at that point. Again, at the end of the day, it comes down to what it is you're looking for. If you want something with a more organic feel, do it by hand, or do automate some of it and then adjust it accordingly. Can't have y'all back. Oh, you can't have y'all back. Interpolate was kind of what I was talking about with radial to... Yeah, but I can't use radial symmetry on a non-symmetrical part cleanly, but yeah. Again, you could do that, but I personally don't like the super cleanliness of it. Again, that's what I love about ZBrush, guys, is there's like 50 ways to do the exact same thing. And a lot of us develop our own kind of workflow. I developed a brute force method where I just kind of... I enjoy working one piece at a time and getting it there. And while that's probably limiting in some factors, it gives me other benefits too, like having something look a little bit more organic and feel. And it's just how I think. So it is always up to you and how you feel you want to approach something. I didn't know we could interpolate curves. That's great. Yep. Yeah, it is fantastic to be able to do that. I use clay tube snap with snake hook. Oh, carbon. Yeah, dude. I like noodling the hair. I do. Yeah, you got me. I love it. But if I had to do something quick, believe you me, that's... I'm glad we played with that tonight, because that was awesome. What you could do too, something I used to do a lot of, is you can keep the cap on it too, and then go on the cap itself. Then you can do some, you know, kind of sculptural work underneath it, which is always fun. So let's say we want to actually apply that texture. You know, and you can work up this way too. You can combine the two methods. All what you want to do. So, mix and match. Have fun. Lurk! Alright, yeah, do. Let's see. Ask Rockers, your work, yep. Cornrows, yep. Alright. Let's continue on. I can actually auto group this real quick. Now I want this piece right here. This. I want to hide a lot of her face. We're doing a light smooth to get some of this more sharper tone of it. And could you suggest to Pixologic a variant slider to the interpolate based off of noise engine or curve profile? Ooh, I like that idea. I mean, I could say something, yeah. You could also email your support, email your suggestion to the support Pixologic. But yeah, I can always say hey, but whether or not they listen. You can please teach how to block out hands. You want to, all right, block out hands? Absolutely. And I think that'll actually be a good time spot. Let's do it. Block out hands 101. Okay. Well, this is where we're getting with the hair. It still has a lot of work to do, but let's block out hands. I think you should be able to randomize the direction in which the object leading are situated in ZBrush when they interpolates. Probably. I mean, let's see. Right now, we have strokes, blast, replay, interpolate. We do have the randomized little button right here that will give you a different result. So yeah, you're just gonna have to play around with those adjustments and see what you get. Based on what we currently have in 7.1, yeah, you'll just have to figure some stuff out. Okay, block out hands on a budget. Just kidding. Okay, nah, I love taking suggestions. Let's do it. Okay, first things first, I will say the best thing to do is reference, 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 reference. I'm going to show you something. Loop. Always have reference when sculpting anything. Now, luckily for us, you usually have a hand reference. Remember that toe thumb I told you all guys about? There it is. So have reference. Your hand is here. Really take a look at it. Even stylized character, that is it. Or get yourself an écrochet that has hands. And that will be super helpful for you guys when doing anything anatomy. Always check your hands or reference for things like your hands. Now, that being said, let's do how I would approach blocking out hands. So let's go ahead and, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna place her right here. She's not gonna be hidden, guys. She's gonna be watching us make hands and laughing. Oop, okay. So let's go ahead and delete all here. Delete all here. All right. This one. Now, what I like to do first and foremost, I like to insert a cube. Okay. And just the ZBrush cube here is fine. Now what I like to do is just quickly get a kind of rectangular shape, just something like this. All right. Doesn't have to be super perfect. Ideally, we're going to start with the simple stuff. We're going to have the palm here. All right. Now I'm going to mask off the top. Now you can't sculpt a symmetrical hand because your hand is asymmetrical by nature. But what we can do is eventually mirror and weld it or mirror it. So we're going to kind of scale up this a little bit because our hands are also not a box. They are kind of tapered into the wrist a little bit. I don't know if you can see that, but you have your knuckles up here, and then it kind of tapers down ever so slightly. Okay. So now we have this guy right here. And then what I like to do is place one finger. So we're going to go ahead and grab something like, and again, I'm going to use a cube for this. So I'm just going to take an insert cube. And let's also squeeze this down a little bit. And right in the middle, I'm gonna make the finger about the same width as the palm, okay? From the top view. Then what we're gonna do is I'm going to kind of scale this up, and I'm gonna measure your fingers. Your middle finger is about the same. Your middle finger is about the same length as the palm of your hand. So you take your middle finger, or your main finger right here, and you go ahead and make that the same length. Go. Then you kind of place that on top. All right. Now, this is just the block out. This isn't going to be super pretty, but we'll get it as close as we can. What I also like to do is I like to make different sections have different polygroups. I'm actually going to Control W that polygroup right there. Yeah, might be not enough polygroups there. We'll figure it. We'll make that. Let's move on. So we're just going to start with this first. I don't want to make it too complicated. Okay, then we're going to do is I'm actually going to hold control and copy this and kind of angle this a little bit. And now I'm going to drop that into the hand just a little bit shorter than your middle finger. Usually your ring finger and your index finger are around the same height or same length. Varies from hand to hand, but ideally they're about. And also too, it's good to remember that your index finger and your pinky are actually at the end of your hand, at the end of the palm, one side or the other. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of have that towards the edge right there. I'm going to go ahead and control, bring this here like such. Now you'll notice that I'm running out of palm spacing. That's very common when blocking out hands. So what I'm going to do is then control drag this one more time, kind of angle this down a little bit, and I'm going to shrink this down. Now, notice I haven't changed the width of my fingers yet. I'm just getting the decent spacing first. And it's important to note that your index finger and your ring finger should be, excluding the thumb, your thickest fingers. Your ring finger is about as thick as your middle and index as well. So those first three fingers are going to be pretty much same thickness. But then your pinky is skinnier than your other hands, than your other fingers. So we can shrink that one down a little bit. Now that we have this, let's go to poly groups and auto groups, just so we have different. I'm going to select this one, and now we're going to go ahead, center this, and make it just a little bit wider. You get something like that. And we do want some spacing between the fingers. Notice I'm keeping the fingers spaced a little bit. It's super important. Because your hands have space. There's little webbings. I'm gonna show you my face again. But on our hands, there are spaces in between each finger. So it's really important to remember that. So that's why here I have that going on. Okay. Now what I'm going to do here is we're going to go ahead and get the thumb base. But before we do the thumb, what I like to do is actually add the meat of the hand. So I actually will take a sphere. I'll kind of just get a sphere going. Kind of crunch that down a little bit. And kind of create like a little chin or butt spot. Butt hand. I've heard it called several times. Just going to create the meat of everything like this. And it kind of helps shape where the palm and stuff and the wrist will be and how the other fingers connect. Go ahead and auto group that one more time. You get this little like spot right down here where you have meat by the thumb, and then of course you have meat by the soft part of your palm. That's what we're trying to replicate here. Okay. Now notice I'm not using any special brushes, no finger brushes. This is just getting the basic shape. Okay, once you have the basic shape, you can then start manipulating the stuff that you need the most. Okay, now the thumb pad comes out a little bit because that's where the thumb is. So we just kind of want to almost make that kind of a triangle shape, just like that. Okay. Now what we can do is when we're dealing with the palms of our hand, when we're doing the thumbs by the palm of our hand, your thumb is, best way to describe it, it's not straight up and down in the same direction as your fingers. It's more of a 90-degree angle outwards. It only has so much rotation. I forget the exact rotation. I think your thumb is constantly facing like 20 degrees away from your finger, and it can rotate a full 90 degrees. So what I like to do is just think of your thumb always pointing out in the away from your fingers. So we're going to go ahead and just borrow this finger here. Copy it. We're going to rotate that. Now your thumb is much shorter than the rest of your fingers. And then I like kind of twist that a little bit. We're imagining the knuckle right there. And again, this is just a simple block out here. And then you can even control drag that out a little bit. Add that in. Again, just blocking out, keeping it really simple right now. Everybody has different hands, so check what's common and what most people know. But now we're getting a very ugly hand, but we have a block out of a hand, and this is super important. You know, everybody, you don't want to rush the design of something. You definitely want to just focus on getting the shape of something done, okay? Because if I wanted a hand in 2 seconds, I could easily just go to IMM body parts, and then I can come through and grab a hand and draw it out, and boom, we got a hand. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can easily do that. But if you're trying to make one from scratch, it's good, at least the way I think, is to just block it out with simple shapes. Okay? Now we have something like this. Now, we're nowhere near done, but this will hopefully give you a direction on which you should start getting ready to clean things up. Now, the other important factor to think about the hand is that it's not straight like this, okay? The hand itself has curvature to it. So what we need to do is come up with something that gives us that little bit of a trick, and I'll show you how I do that. Quick. I kind of want to just real like that. It was really far out there. Okay. What I like to do here is I'm going to go ahead and take the palm fingers like that. I'm going to leave the thumb alone. I'm going to take W for the gizmo. I'm going to recenter that. Then I'm going to hit Y for the transpose. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this out. I'm going to hit R to rotate. As that, oh, my back face is on. R to rotate that a little bit so it's just slightly off center. Then I'm going to hold Alt in the middle. I'm going to bring this up like that. I'm going to give it a little bit of curvature. We have just a little bit of a curve. Okay. Now what we could do is we can actually start working with this here. So this is where what we can decide to do is actually subdivide a few times to get a little bit of topology. Let's say 200. I'm going to go ahead and delete lower. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to weld this together and start sculpting on it. Ideally, we just built this to have a block out of something that works for us. But now I'm going to go ahead and merge together and start sculpting on it. So we can either do Control-Shift-D to like duplicate it. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and Dynamesh it. I'm going to Dynamesh it at a low resolution at first and see what that gives me, which, not too bad. That's manageable. Now we can start really sculpting. I'm going to go ahead and kind of smooth some areas out. Right. Now I'm going to start shaping it. Now at this point, we have just a base bare bones of something to work on, and this is where your reference is going to come in, because really we just made a base mesh to kind of get to that point. Very handsome. Right? And let's also get a material that's going to let us see what's going on. And this is where it's fun to look at other aspects, like your hand has webbing on some sides. we're going to do is start sculpting in some spots where there would be knuckles, bones. Now, it depends at this point, too, where we're going. Like, are we going full stylized? Are we going realistic? That's a choice that you basically get to make. For right now, I'm just going to kind of sculpt a recognizable hand without any real style backing it. And what I'm doing right now is using trim dynamic to just kind of shape the fingers a little bit. I love the Dynamesh method. It's what I do. Just clean up that topology a little bit. Again, at this point, I'm only using my hand as reference. And I'm just kind of blocking stuff out. Not even really trying too hard to make it super detailed. I'm still feeling out the shape of it all. Have a little bit of all meat right here. We can smooth that down a bit. It might also be a good idea as well to take some material like a cylinder at this point. Kind of drag this out. Kind of pinch this down and make yourself a wrist as well. Taper that down just a little bit. Then Dynamesh that together, because now you'll have some more information to make a much better hand. Go ahead and that meat in there. Go. And looking at it, we have a few bones to place here. So go ahead and put a wrist bone in here, up there. Down. Awesome, man. I'm glad this is helpful. Absolutely. Hands are very difficult in the beginning, especially when trying to learn anatomy. There's so much information with anatomy that we need to kind of understand. So it's important to take your time and just try your best. And the more you fail is the more you're learning, because you're learning on how not to do something, or you learn like, okay, that didn't work or give me the result that I absolutely needed. And so don't be afraid to just keep trying, keep doing. I told you I have toe thumbs, so a lot of my hands have that default in them. I'm having this hand like this a little bit, so just kind of want to make sure that there are certain areas with it that are good. That in there. Won't be super perfect, but this will be a good starting spot. Fail first, learn fast. Absolutely. Yeah, why not? Okay. Now what we're going to do right now is focus on the webbing. And this is something I see a lot in the beginning. It's hard to kind of get this, but there's a curve to the hand. Remember, there's a curve to a hand here. Now there's a curve to a hand here. And notice that this is still straight. This looks terrible, right? So what we want to do is actually reshape this. So this is where the Move Infinite brush comes into play. Because what we can do is generate the curve of that hand, because it's kind of round right here. So we're gonna pull this down, pull this up a little bit. Okay. Also gonna adjust the shape of the fingers a little bit, because these are a little too long. I just like to use the Move Infinite to give me those results. Right here. Okay, now we're still in Dynamesh mode right now, so we're just getting the basic shape. Now this is a little flat on top, so let's take normal move brush. Kind of round these fingers out just a little bit. And this is something I like to do as well. I like to take the damn standard, and now you have three bend locations on your finger. You have right here at the start of the palm, okay? And then you have your first finger joint right here, and they follow that curve. So it's not straight across. If the hand is curving kind of up and down, you follow that curve as well with that bone joint. Okay, and then your second one, right about here, slightly underneath, and a little bit under. That gives your hand a little bit of shape. Now with your thumb, you have two bend locations. You have this bend location here, and then you have this bend location here. So the thumb bends once and then moves over. So notice that you have three bend locations, 1, 2, 3 in the finger, and you have 2, 1, 2 in the thumb. Very important to have that information as well. If you are designing a character and you add more joints than is necessary, unless it's part of the story, it can look weird. So now we're going to focus on just developing back half of the hand, okay? In the back half of the hand, the knuckles, this might be a little hard to see, but transition, okay. So the pads of the palm are a little higher than the knuckle on the back of the palm. Just slightly. It's like kind of angled a little bit, kind of like that. Okay. So what we're gonna do, what I like to do is I like to take the trim dynamic and I like to kind of back sculpt or sculpt out this little section right here, and maybe even just the clay buildup brush, and just start developing that webbing in between knuckles here. And we could even take the move regular brush and kind of pull this up a little bit. All right. So now we can see the webbing from the back of the hand, which you would be able to see. I'm just relaxed smoothing right now. So now you'll be able to see that webbing a little bit. If you look at your palm, you'll be able to see that kind of valley that's there. And it's better to pull that valley down from the back side than it is to pull it up from the front, because again, we kind of set a proportion value that we kind of altered a little bit. So we want to make sure that our proportions stay as true as possible. Now this palm here is kind of not straight down, it is kind of rounded, so the body has a lot of motion and curves. We're gonna kind of hold to that as much as we can. All right. Then I like to take the clay buildup and I like to place my knuckles where they go. Now here's the fun part, is where your knuckle bends on the finger is a knuckle. Okay. So we build up our knuckle joints here and then kind of look at where that first spot was. That knuckle about there. Build that up a little bit. Such. Then you have another knuckle by where the fingernails are going to start. Could do as well as you could just kind of maybe mask off that section. You can kind of see where they lie so you get a general idea. But again, it follows that curve of everything, right? Your hand is full of curves and motion. Now right here by where the back of the hand is and where the knuckle starts for the thumb, what's really cool is when your hand rotates like this, a little bit like you're gonna wave, okay, there's a little spot. If you put your finger back here, put your thumb in there, there's a little indentation there, all right? That right there is allowing that movement for that waving. So you want to kind of dig that out a little bit. So you can fill this up with this material and then kind of carve that back a little bit, just to give that slight indentation that's there, because there's a bone that allows that movement. I would high five this hand all day for anything. And then what we like to do is I like to add the rest of the bones in the back. Now you have, let's move back to the big screen here. So you have your bones that then come down and connect into your wrist, straight down. The biggest tip for this, biggest trick I like to do is I like to have lazy mouse is typically on by default, but I'll use the standard brush for this, and I'll hold shift and let go, touch, hold shift, let go, shift. This starts placing in bone landmarks and they kind of disappear into the wrist at that point. Okay, now this is still a very semi-ugly hand, but now what we could do is do fingernail indentations, round off the fingers a little bit, and then we can ZBrush. So let's do that. And I'm trying to get this done before we have to leave. This will be the last thing I sculpt for the night. So we're going to kind of round out the fingers a little bit, but notice I've kept the back of the fingers kind of flat. I did that on purpose because we will be rounding them out because your fingers are not truly flat. But what's cool is that gives us a placement for those fingernails. So when we're rounding out the fingers, you can keep a little bit of a flat spot back there. Okay. And what's really neat about fingers, now, it depends if you're sculpting a man's hand versus a female's hand. But key to note is male hands are typically, the knuckles themselves are typically wider and they don't taper as much. Women's hands have a nice solid base and they tend to taper a little bit more than a man's hands would. So it's important to note the anatomy of male versus female and the slight differences. Women's hands are typically a little bit more pointy in that regard. So when you're making a hand, you kind of want to determine whether or not it's going to be a male or a female's hand. And then from there, you can start making those iterations. But all fingers, from the base to the from the pad to the nail, has a curve to it. So you can kind of come up in here and you round it off in this way. Slight. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Learned more about fingers today than my entire life of picking my nose with them. You're so welcome, bro. You're so welcome. Which fingers are best for the ones that are closest to you, I guess. Kind of round that off a little bit like such. There we go. And then the other thing too is that we can create little indentation, little like pads here. There we go. Now what you want to avoid, and I've tried desperately to showcase that, is sausage fingers. You don't want sausage fingers. While there's a knuckle on top, there's also going to be a slight indentation on the sides of where those knuckles are. Want to put a little indentation in there. Smooth out those areas, but you definitely don't want super sausagey fingers. Be careful when rounding things out. And if you're having troubles, like you're trying to sculpt here and then you're tearing that mesh apart, you know, just mask off what you don't want to mess with. So, rounding at that point, just kind of go through. Now, I'm moving pretty quick, but I've spent hours sculpting a good hand. So just keep that in mind too. Like, you know, I might have put this together relatively quickly, but this is in no means ready. This is just like, you know, I would spend more time finessing this. A little heads up. Now, another really cool thing that we're going to do real quick here, making sure not to get rid of all my landmarks, but if you do, it's okay. Just kind of, you know, place back the stuff that you need. What we're going to do next is we're going to Z-remesh it so that it looks a little bit more cleaner and we can control the geometry a little bit better. So real quick, let's just save it real quick. We'll call this hand. That on the desktop. Boom. Save it in the hand. Now what I like to do is create a save state. Okay. Nope, actually, forget that. We're going to back that up for a second. What I'm going to do is completely make this one polygroup, and we're actually going to make our own polygroups. And what that's going to do is help us control Z-remesher a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Control W, mask off a spot, Control W, mask off a spot. I'm going to repeat this process until I'm happy with the results. Here. Perfect. And then let's do right here. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same for the wrist. Save some time, effort. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do that with a wrist. Okay. I'm going to pick some colors that are not super similar. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off Dynamesh. We're going to come here. I'm going to go to Geometry. And we're going to go to Z-Remesh. Going to do Keep Groups. Before I do that, what I want to do is actually clean up some of these lines so that it actually Z-remeshes the way I want it to. So we're going to go to Deformation, and we're going to go Groups, Polish by Groups. Slide that over, and you get a really nice, clean polish. You can do that a couple times if you would like. There we go. Now what we're going to do is actually Z-remesh, Keep Groups, and if we even wanted to, just for fun, let's go to Geometry, Crease Paul Gabry's. And now we're going to go Z-remesher, Keep Groups, Keep Creases. I'm going to actually drop these smooth groups down to about 50%. I'm going to turn Adapt off because I don't like the way Adapt works personally. I find better success with it turned off. And then I'm going to go ahead and pick like 15 and let's Z-remesh. Now that's a bowling hand. Heck yeah! I'm saving that pun in my index, just pointing that out. Gotta hand it to you. Yeah! Nails are hard to do. Nails are you're gonna like this. You're gonna like this. Okay? So, look at this. Now we have this right here. And we're gonna go ahead and let's actually drop it down one more time. Let's keep it a little bit more stylized. So let's go Z-remesher, half, Keep Groups, Keep Creases. Drop that topology down a little bit. Yeah, that's not too bad. I'll take it. Let's go ahead and turn that off. Go to Crease, Uncrease All. Now we have a decent hand block out. Now it's time to finalize this a little bit more. So what we can do is actually start kind of, you know, making some good changes. So we can grab this finger here. We can come on down here a little bit. Maybe scale down that finger a little. Right, we can come here, we can do a little quick scale down. You can even like taper that a little bit. You know, these are pretty thick, meaty boys. All right, we can alt tap and kind of put that in the center. Kind of bring that down just a little bit. All right, ooh, that's pretty sausagey right there. We're gonna come here, kind of rotate that, put that in the center, and then down, right? You can do a relaxed smooth. That was a little too much. All right, let's grab this guy. There. Down in the center, kind of down a little bit. All right, now we can start finessing this a little bit more. So if we want to make nails, there's a really quick way we can do that. Starts making or breaking everything real fast. Oh my god, Topology is the best I've seen on a hand of Steam Rusher. That's how you do it, man. That's how you do it. Follow the hand, so I did. Yeah, right. That's pretty clean, right? Yeah, it's not too bad. I could use a little love, but you know. Okay, so nails. This is what I like to do with nails. What I like to do with nails is I like to basically take the mask. I like to mask off a section. Now, depending on your topology, will depend on how good your nails are. I recommend doing this once everything is done. In fact, you know what, real quick, let's take AccuCurve and your move. Kind of get a little bit more of a point to them. Such. Oh, kind of soften that up a little bit. Thumb out a little bit. Okay. At this point, what I like to do is, you could do nails a few ways, but the way I tend to do it, if I'm not really needing them to have a super close-up feel to life, what I'll do is I'll actually subdivide a few times. And we'll start with the index finger. And I just kind of paint that. What I do is I just kind of paint where I want my nail to be. Now, mind you, nails, you can have them cut across straight, like we're supposed to in life, I guess, or we can round the corners. It all depends on what you want. But this is how I approach my nails. What I do is I mask off that area, I invert that, tap dead in the center. Kind of scale down, and I kind of push it down. Then I lift it up, pull it out. This gives me a base start for my nail. Now it's going to need some cleanup. But this is where you could take the cam standard a little bit, move that out a little bit, and kind of sculpt in there. Now this is if I don't need my fingernails to be seen up close. From afar, good enough. Nailed it. But let's say you actually do want to have that nail done right, as in, you know, it's gonna have a close-up shot, right? Well, then what we can do is drop the topology down. We really don't need it at that point. You can do just dynamic at this point. But then what I would suggest is that you go to your topology brush, and then just give yourself a nail. Then go ahead and touch that, and then, you know, From here, you can split on mast if you want. Now you have a fingernail kind of where you need it, and then you can go ahead and maybe squeeze that down a little bit, stretch that out, and from here you can embed that, and then you can actually just straight up make it the way you want. You can also do it with a plane, but you can add in some topology here, such. And then I recommend at this point round it off like such, and then crease all your polygroups. Oops, maybe don't have the center crease, so let's go uncrease all, crease polygroups. Maybe crease this edge here, so let's go to crease this edge here and here. Yeah, there we go. Now we can hit that like such. And then you can adjust this nail as needed. Of course, take your time with it. Don't rush it like I did. But you can that out like that. And you can also make a nail brush if you want. But just note that the nails actually go with the curvature of the hand. And then you come back to here, and then you shape around the nail. Now we've run out of time, but hopefully this at least gives you a good indication on how to start building a hand. So hopefully that's helpful. Again, practice makes permanent, so the more you practice these things, the better off you'll be. This is 30 minutes. I would easily spend another 30 minutes or so to get it as close as I possibly can to what I want, fix any of the proportions. But at the end of the day, this will get you pretty close. And once you build your first hand, then after that, save it. Save the subtool. Save the subtool out as a as a base mesh, and then you don't have to do it every single time. You just have to like make a hand the best you can. Who cares if you spend 2 hours on it? Make it as good as possible. Save that out, and then repeat it. There are several times I've just been lazy and said, I'm not sculpting a hand today. Bloop. Took something from one of my previous models, or even just going here and using this IMM. This pretty one as a base mesh. There you go. Whee! I like mine better. Oh, Rodeska. Heck yeah, man. Hey, Rodeska, we actually, let me see if I can find it, but I actually did a samurai sword for my Demon Slayer statue a few streams ago. Jump on YouTube and check out some of the previous ones I did, buddy. But, yeah, you can always hit that up, too. You need a hard surface weapon lesson. Alright, for sure. But it wasn't like this, so yeah, I can definitely do more stuff like this. We can also do stuff like, maybe, guys, follow me on Twitter and stuff like that. Maybe one of these times, I will post I'll post like a vote of like, what would you like to see me sculpt? And we'll do that. We'll do like a hand one stream, a foot another stream, a weapon of choice. I don't do much vehicles, but I could do that too. So definitely a lot more stuff to come in 2022. Yeah, I want to finish the Demon Slayer piece off. This is my own personal piece, this Nana, so I'll be working on her on the side. But yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Hey, what's going on? Hella Decent Games. I'm actually wrapping it up because I haven't eaten dinner, and my kids are probably going to get ready to yell at me if I don't feed them soon enough. So I'm going to be going, guys. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Don't forget to join my Discord, hang out with me over there. I'm there on a regular basis, so you can always drop in. It's a great community. A lot of artists in there that are just wanting to help and see people grow. So check that out. And yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. I'm live every Sunday from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, majority. And if I have a stream canceled, I usually tweet it or announce it in my Discord, so you guys can keep up with that stuff. Anyway, so if you have a black eye next time, you know what happened. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. That's it. Kids got hungry. All right, everybody. That is it for the day. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, all that stuff to Pixologic because there's amazing, tons and tons of amazing artists everywhere. If you're looking for my Discord, you can just go right there. If that's the Zbrush Discord, please join that too because they make all the cool announcements like updates that you want to hear. So make sure you follow them there as well. All right, guys, that is it. And I will talk to you guys next Sunday. See you in the Discord, on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. Bye, 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 bye.